I have got some absolutely shocking news for you this Friday evening, folks, because we have now just seen the Reform Party has put out a statement claiming that their MP, Rupert Lowe, is under investigation for allegations of serious bullying towards his female employees, and apparently has even made threats of violence to Zia Youssef. This is absolutely shocking, and the question that I am asking today, and I want you guys, we're live, so get in the comments, I want you guys to tell me what you think. Do you think that this is legitimate, or do you think that this might be a stitch-up? Because the reason I asked that question is because I think it is all a bit of a coincidence that this statement has come out literally the day after Rupert Lowe made comments questioning Nigel Farage's leadership and suggesting that he will not be standing by Nigel Farage at the next election if Nigel Farage doesn't change the way that the party is governed. It was pretty shocking yesterday. It seemed like the cracks were starting to appear in the Reform Party and the wheels were starting to fall off the bus. But blimey, today, this statement coming out, this has really thrown a spanner in the works. So let's read through this, guys. It says, "It's with regret that we feel obligated to disclose that the party received complaints from 2 female employees about serious bullying in the office of the MP for Great Yarmouth, Rupert Lowe. One worked in his parliamentary office, the other in his constituency office. We understand complaints have been made to parliamentary authorities. Evidence was provided to us of workplace bullying, the targeting of female staff who raised concerns, and evidence of derogatory and discriminatory remarks about women, including reference to a perceived disability. We feel we have a duty of care to all our staff, whether employed directly or indirectly. Accordingly, we appointed an independent KC to conduct an investigation into the veracity of these complaints. To date, Mr. Lowe has yet to cooperate with this investigation." That's a pretty shocking claim, isn't it, to say he's not even willing to cooperate. And I'm going to show you Rupert Lowe's response. He's just put out a big long tweet on this, which goes completely against what is being said here. So we're going to sit here both sides of the argument coming from this article here from letter from Lee Anderson and Zia versus what Rupert Lowe has to say, because it's quite a contrast. And they say, in addition to these allegations of a disturbing pattern of behaviour, Mr. Lowe has on at least 2 occasions made threats of physical violence against our party chairman. The chairman is Zia Youssef. Accordingly, this matter is with the police. So that's pretty shocking if there's a police investigation going on. One thing that I want to point out about this statement here, if we're talking about whether it was professional for them to put this out, even if this is legit what they're saying here, was it stupid of them to put it out the day after Rupert Lowe has made the comments about Nigel Farage? Because that is going to fuel speculation about, this question I'm asking, is this a stitch-up, right? What I think is perhaps a bit unprofessional about that paragraph there is that they've said that on at least 2 occasions, Rupert Lowe has made threats of physical violence, right? Now they're saying that's with the police, it's under investigation, right? Should they be saying, before that's been, he's been charged by the police, the police say he's guilty, should they be saying it as if it's a fact, rather than say, allegedly he made threats of violence? I think that's a little bit not quite right with the wording there, to be honest. This may have been rushed out. And then they finish off saying reform stands for the highest standards of conduct in public life, and we will apply these standards without fear nor favour, including within our own party. And you see that's been signed by Lee Anderson and Zia Youssef. Also just wondering, why has that only been signed by Lee and by Zia? Why hasn't it been signed by Nigel and the other MPs? Normally when the reform, they do letters, you'll often see 5 plus signatures along the bottom. So maybe this has been put out in a bit of a rush and there was only Lee and Zia around to stamp off on it. But yeah, the allegations here are absolutely shocking. And whether they are true or whether they are false, I'm just very disappointed to see this happening in the Reform Party, because, you know, I loved that group of 5 MPs, 5, you know, buddies together in the chamber, all sat together, all working really, really hard to do good and to ask good questions and to hold our leaders to account. Like I thought as a group they work so well together. But I mean, regardless of whether Rupert, you know, even if he gets the all clear from this, it's going to be pretty awkward sat on the benches next to his other fellow Reform MPs after they've done this to him, right? So yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame to see this lack of cohesion in a party that has been, you know, absolutely zooming through the polls and doing so well. And, you know, Rupert Lowe, you guys will have seen his work, right? He's been doing so much. He's been putting in so many hours. A lot of people have, you know, been really, really impressed by the work he's done as an MP, making request after request after request to the Home Office to give us information about the migrant situation, immigration that they have been hiding from us and holding from us. Really, really one of the key people really who was pushing for something to be done about the grooming gangs when Labour were refusing to do an inquiry. This is, you know, regardless of whether he did bully these female staffers, I think we can all say that he has done some absolutely brilliant work as an MP. And so it's a shame to see this disunity now happening in that group of fantastic MPs. Now, as I said, you're all commenting like mad, and I will get to your comments very shortly. But before, let's just talk about what happened yesterday, because this is the key context here. So we had Andrew Pierce. That's the GB News presenter. He interviewed Rupert Lowe, not on GB News. He did a written piece for the Mail Plus. I'm showing you the comment from the Spectator instead because I do not have a Mail Plus subscription to see it. But he made some comments about Farage, and this was just yesterday, I believe, right? So he said that Farage, he says it's too early to know whether Nigel will deliver the goods. He can only deliver if he surrounds himself with the right people. He has got messianic qualities. Will those messianic qualities distill into sage leadership? I don't know. And then he very shockingly said, we have to start developing policy which is going to change the way we govern. I'm not going to be by Nigel's side at the next election unless we have a proper plan to change the way we govern from top to bottom. So that's pretty shocking to say. I will not be by Nigel's side unless he changes leadership. Unless, you know, I can see some of you are commenting about Ben Habib. Dave says looking like Nigel is becoming a problem. He did the same with Ben Habib, and so Nigel, he has a reputation for being pretty ruthless in kicking people out of his team if they do not serve him. And some will say that is, you know, a quality of a great businessman, that you are ruthless, that you only keep people on your side who are serving you, who are helping you get towards your mission. There were, you know, disagreements between Nigel and Ben Habib, some on policy, some about Brexit, but also about the way the party is governed. Also, you know, Rupert Lowe is talking about the way the party is governed here. Ben Habib was insistent that the party needs to be democratised and it shouldn't be just a limited company owned by Nigel Farage, and he was, you know, upset to see that was not happening as promised. It seems that that's now in the works now. So Ben Habib, you know, he just got kicked out after the general election, even though Ben Habib had put in so much work to get the party to where it was, right? He wasn't really given any kind of, you know, another big role in the party as a sort of thank you for all the work. Nigel was ruthless. So I'm wondering, has this, this statement we've had put out, is that Nigel being the ruthless operator again, saying, look, he's questioned my leadership, he's not on board, he's causing disunity in the party, we need to find a way to get this guy out. Let's put this statement out. Okay, I'm not saying that is the case, because I don't want to be the person who, you know, when a woman, you know, we've got women here claiming that they've been bullied, they've been they've had, derogatory comments made towards them. I don't want to dismiss those women because they may have genuine allegations. I don't want to just say, oh, it's all a stitch up, right? And, time and time again in the past, we've had people, cases of, rape, sexual assault, bullying, etc. pushed under the carpet and not investigated properly because other people who know these individuals have said, oh no, they're, Jimmy Savile, like, oh no, they're a lovely guy, they couldn't have possibly done anything wrong, which means it's pushed under the carpet. I'm not by any means likening Rupert Lowe to Jimmy Savile in any way. I'm just to be clear about that. These allegations are clearly not of that sort, but I'm just saying, and you see it with like Hugh Edwards, BBC and whatnot, like they don't get investigated because everyone says, oh no, there's such a lovely guy, I know him, he's so good, he'd never do that, right? Rupert Lowe to me seems like an absolutely lovely, hard-working, respectable guy, but there may be some truth to these allegations. I don't know, but we need to look at what Rupert Lowe has said in response to this because it's quite shocking. But let's just stay with me, guys, because you really do want to see what Rupert Lowe has said. But your comments are absolutely flying in, so let's just pick up on a couple of those. We've got a super chat. Thank you very, very much for that. We really appreciate the support. So let's just see what you've got to say, Alex. Either Reform has done this as a stitch up against Rupert Lowe because of his comments yesterday, or Lowe made his comments knowing this was coming. That's also a possibility, right? Rupert Lowe might have known that, well, he knew that there was, as we'll see in his statement, he'll know that there had been these allegations and whatnot, and maybe he was trying to save face before he knew this letter was going to come out. So that's a very good, very, very good point. So thank you very much for that. Anyone who leaves a super chat, I will read it out as long as it's PC and appropriate enough to read out. But yes, thank you very, very much for supporting the channel. So let me have a look at what a few of you guys have said. So Paul says, having people underneath you that just nod their head to everything you say is not a good model. You need varying opinions and you need to respect that. Yes, exactly. I completely agree with you, Paul. You want to have some degree of unity. You don't want everyone ripping their hair out all the time. But if you don't have any disagreement, you're not going to make good decisions. You need people that criticize you and give you a second opinion. There's a great book called The Myth of the Strong Leader that I once read. And this explains this, is that you may think a strong leader is somebody who rules with an iron fist, who just, rules like a bit of a dictator and just like, let's just get stuff done. This is what we're doing. Don't care what anyone else thinks. And they might get some things done, but they may not be the right things. A strong leader is actually someone who can sit down and say, right, everyone, criticize me, give me your ideas and tell me where I am wrong. Martin comment saying Rupert just tweeted. Yes, I know, and that's what we're getting to. So let's get to that now, because I know you're all getting impatient, and then we've got loads of comments coming in, so I will read those out after we look at what Rupert has said. So get them coming in. Any super chats that help support the channel, we absolutely will read out, and they are very, very much appreciated. Okay, so let's see what Rupert said. And this tweet, it's quite long. I've got 4 parts to it to show you. But let's read through all of it, because I think it's very important that we hear Rupert's side of this, okay? Because I don't know if the media will cover both sides of it, okay? We've got to make sure that we listen to what Rupert had to say. So Rupert says, I'm disappointed but not surprised to read Reform's untrue and false allegations. So he's completely denying this. He says, let me be abundantly clear. This investigation is based on zero credible evidence against me, as has been repeatedly stated by the neutral investigator. None has been provided. I have cooperated and spoken at length with the KC they instructed, at great cost to the party, to investigate a minor staff matter. Okay, so he's saying he cooperated there, whereas in the statement that was put out by Reform, they say he's refused to cooperate with the investigation. So quite a disunity between these two statements. He says, I've just spoken to the KC. She is dismayed that this statement has been made and reiterated that no evidence against me has been sent to her. Okay, so this is not just Rupert saying that there's no evidence against him. He's saying the KC that they've spoken about in that statement that they put out, he's actually gone and spoken to the KC, and she has said, what's going on? We haven't been given any evidence whatsoever. That's pretty shocking, to be honest. And he says she stated that this has been issued before the investigation has even started. Okay, so they're saying in the statement that he's refused to comply and cooperate with an investigation, but apparently no investigation has even started yet. Hang on. Like what's going on? Who do I believe here? She is shocked at the process, shocked at the communication from the party, and shocked that no credible evidence has been given despite her repeated requests. Okay, so the KC, according to Rupert, has been asking for evidence, yet nothing has been provided. Yet it looks as though, if you read the reform statement, that Rupert has been the one refusing to submit anything, refusing to give his side and give his evidence. So it's quite shocking, really. I don't know if Rupert's telling the truth here. I don't know if Lee and Zia on that statement are telling the truth. This is very hard to say. I was sent an initial letter late on Friday afternoon last week, again with no evidence provided, with no prior warning and no attempt to understand the full position. And he goes on, allegations of physical threats are outrageous and entirely untrue. I've never made any derogatory comments about women or those with disabilities. This is a lie. These allegations are not even referring to me. I will be seeking legal advice immediately. There's no credible evidence against me, as the KC has stated on numerous occasions. It is no surprise that the vexatious statement has been issued the day after my reasonable and constructive questions of Nigel and the reform structure. There we go. He's pointing out the fact that it's weird this has come out the day after those comments. And I think, although it might have been a little bit of a sting to Nigel to see that bit of criticism, if you ask me, I think that it was phrased in a very, calm and reasonable way. He wasn't saying, Rupert, Nigel is an absolute, awful leader and, he needs to step down and blah, blah, blah. He's just saying, a few things need to change. So that was interesting. And he says, all I stated was that communication needs to improve, delegation needs to improve, structure needs to improve. These are all reasonable requests of a party looking to form the next government. I stand by everything I said. So what we were saying earlier about a strong leader is someone who's willing to take constructive criticism. If it is the case, this statement has been put out to try and throw him under the bus after he gave a bit of constructive criticism. That's maybe suggesting that Nigel's leadership is not that good. We know he's got charisma, we know he's got personality, and that will win him votes. But, to make it a serious party that actually, not just gets to number 10, but is organised enough to deliver on those promises effectively when they get there, he's going to need to not just have charisma. Look at Boris Johnson. Very charismatic man. Got a huge majority in 2019 as a consequence, I would say. But then he got into power. And, he was a disorganised mess. Look what happened to immigration under Boris. It went absolutely AWOL. Crazy, right? And then don't even get me started on the COVID response. Lockdown, no you're free again. No, lockdown again. No you're free again. Lockdown again. Endless cycle. It was just an absolute mess. Do we want that again? Is that what we could have if Farage gets to number 10 but he can't listen to criticism around him? It's a good thing to think about, guys. Anyway. He says, I've been pushing for this behind the scenes for many months with zero success. I have been frozen out of meetings, policy discussions, press conferences, and more. My repeated requests for better communication and regular meetings have been ignored and mocked. Honestly, I have tried and will continue to try. I did not speak publicly without exhausting all other options repeatedly. Okay, that's a good point that he makes there, because what I was going to say about his comments that he made to Andrew Pierce is that, was it really right for him to, say it to the press rather than actually say it to Nigel to his face first and, say it amongst the other people in the party? But actually he's saying here that he had to no avail. So that's why he maybe felt like he needed to say it in a newspaper. He says, I've done everything in my power to resolve this behind closed doors. Sadly, I failed. Our voters, our members and our country all deserve so much better than this. To reform supporters of mine, please stay with the party. We must win the next election. There is no choice. Infighting serves nobody but our enemies. We could have all been resolved with even the most basic level of communication. I will be getting to your many comments very soon, but we've got one more part to Rupert's response and then we can have a talk about this. So he says, I do not believe that reform members will be pleased to know that their membership fees are being spent on instructing expensive lawyers to investigate their own MPs over matters that are entirely baseless and have been dealt with in the correct parliamentary procedure. With HR's involvement and support, the staff member in question only raised a vexatious complaint once disciplinary proceedings had been initiated against them for serious wrongdoing. Well, that's an interesting bit of context there. Is that true? I don't know, but that is what Rupert is saying here, okay? But that's very interesting information. The other individual mentioned dropped her appeal. If they want to kick me out over false claims, they'll have to finally present some credible evidence against me. There is none, as the Casey has just told me. Again, a complete inability to accept even the most mild constructive criticism without such a malicious reaction is not effective leadership. This is our party as much as it is Nigel's. Okay, very interesting comments there. And also he makes the point about being kicked out there. So let me just clarify. In the statement that was made by Reform, they say that he's being investigated and all of this, and that also there's a matter with the police about him making threats of violence to Zia Youssef, apparently. Here, it does not say we're removing the whip and we're suspending him from the party with immediate effect. They haven't done that, okay? That could be on the horizon. I don't know. But anyway, okay. Let's get to your comments. You're all very, everyone's very opinionated about this. Nicole says Rupert was starting to outshine Farage. Right, remember we had that spat with Elon Musk where he suddenly said over his comments, Nigel's comments about Tommy Robinson, that Nigel had to go, needed a new leader, and he started saying that he liked the look of Rupert Lowe. He's been, as I said, he's been very active. He's been doing a lot of hard work, getting information out of the Home Office and whatnot, and a lot of people have really taken a notice and said this is a guy who's hardworking, he's intelligent, he's got tenacity. So anyway, but I'm interested to see what impact will this have on the Reform Party, because they have had other scandals before but still come out of it okay. But this, to me, it feels a little bit more serious than what we've had before. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think this is gonna this could really hurt the Reform Party? But anyway, let's have a look at what you guys are saying. Interestingness says Reform UK resorting to dirty tactics on its own members will not go down well with the voters. Yeah, look, it's not gone down well with me, to be honest. It may be the case that these, Rupert might be lying in that tweet. Maybe he's lying in that tweet. Maybe the statement from Reform is truthful and he is under some sort of investigation. But even if that is the case, I think it's not going to go down well with people, and it looks like dirty tactics putting it out the day after these comments that Rupert made. Why don't you wait until next week or something? Wait until a week later so it doesn't look like these two are connected. That would have been smart if you ask me. I think this was a bit silly. Let's see what Fate says the country is dumb. People love drama more than actually using common sense. And you know what? That's a good point, because the people are so fed up of the bickering in the Tory party. The reason why after 14 years the Tories didn't really achieve any of their promises is because they were too busy fighting with each other the whole time, having a new leadership every fucking week, right? I mean, it just did not end, right? Is it starting to look like the Reform Party that we thought was different from that toxic culture is going to be the exact same bickering, the same infighting, rather than actually just cracking on? So, yeah. Evan says all feels like it's by design, and that egos need to be pushed to one side. Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's egos that have led to infighting in the Tory party and whatnot, and stuff not getting done. I just want MPs who actually are in it because they just want to do well for their country, and they're willing to do things that might harm their reputation, to do what's right for constituents and what's right for the country. Like, for example, look at Labour Party, right? Why didn't Keir Starmer allow us to have a national inquiry into the grooming gangs? I think it was obvious as ever that we needed one, but he wouldn't have one. Why? Because, he might lose some of the Muslim vote, because there are many people who think that talking about the grooming gangs and pointing out the fact that it was predominantly Pakistani Muslim men who are massively overrepresented in the numbers, you've got people who think that that's Islamophobic, so he's scared to touch it. And also, Labour-run councils, in pretty much all the places where there were grooming gang hotspots, there would be a lot of Labour councillors, a lot of people in the Labour Party who are, their reputation is damaged as a consequence of doing an inquiry. But it was the right thing to do, okay? He wouldn't do it because he cares about his ego, he cares about saving himself and his own reputation. Those aren't the people I want in politics, and I thought that Reform was different. I'm not ditching the Reform Party, by the way. I'm going to watch and see what happens here, but I'm just saying, this is not a situation. We don't want them to end up seeming the same as the rest of the other politicians. This guy with a little Luigi says Reformer-controlled opposition and Rupert is a threat because he is good. As I said, Rupert's been doing very well. He's been getting a lot of attention. People have been very impressed. Is that a bit concerning for Nigel Farage? Maybe it is. Yagdrol says that this will be the beginning of the end for Farage. Now, I don't want Farage to go because I don't think the party can succeed without him. At least for the 2029 general election, they need Farage, but he's got to be willing to listen to a bit of criticism. Okay, I think Rupert Lowe's amazing, but do I think that he's got that same charisma and appeal that Farage has that's going to win huge voters like Boris did? No, I don't think so. Anyway, let's see. Let's see. Apparently this will finish Reform UK. I don't think this will finish them, but I think that this is going to hurt them. We will see how this develops over the next week or so. Is there any evidence presented about these supposed allegations? If they can't present any evidence, it's going to make them look a bit stupid. Michelle thinks this is a setup. She says a setup by those high in Reform because people want Rupert Lowe to be leader. Nothing will tell me different. Okay. You do have a lot of people saying like Rupert Lowe for leader and whatnot, and maybe that was starting to give Nigel Farage a few chills down his spine. Charles supporting Farage here, just for a bit of balance. He says Lowe has a Churchill complex. He's not Churchill. Farage is the heir of Churchill and has the track record. Is he the heir of Churchill? Jacqueline doesn't think this is a good move by Reform. She says Rupert Lowe is loved and respected. This is a bad move for Reform, certainly for me. You're right, a lot of people have got a heck of a lot of respect for Rupert Lowe. As I said, I like the guy. I've been very impressed by the guy. I think he comes across very professional, very intelligent, very hardworking. I'm not going to, as soon as I see that letter with a load of, very serious allegations against him, I'm not immediately going to be like, right, that's it, I hate Rupert Lowe now. I'm willing to listen to his side. I'm not going to say, I believe in the principle of innocent until proven guilty. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to see if any proper evidence comes out about this. I'm sceptical about that letter. No, maybe they thought that if they put that letter out immediately, everyone will be on their side and throw Rupert under the bus, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen. Someone's saying Rupert Lowe and Ben Hupley, please start a new party. I don't want another new party, okay? The right is already divided enough as it is. UKIP are trying to rebrand themselves now and rise again, and you've got Lawrence Fox's little party and all these. We don't need more parties, okay? 2 parties on the right splits the vote up enough compared to just Labour on the left. I mean, we've got a few independent pro-Gaza MPs. But yeah, let's sort Reform out rather than keep on setting up new... But wait, hang on. Okay, so Paul says, Lowe went to the newspapers. I don't respect him now. Okay, maybe you... I don't know if you tuned in late, Paul, but let's just go back to what Rupert Lowe actually said about going to the newspapers, because I did think the same as you. I've got 2 things open at the moment. I did think the same as you, but until I saw what Rupert said, I think that's the wrong one. Here we go. Yeah, so he says, I've been pushing for this behind the scenes for many months with 0 success. I have been frozen out of meetings, policy discussions, press conferences and more. My repeated requests for better communication and regular meetings have been ignored and mocked. Honestly, I've tried and will continue to try. I did not speak publicly without exhausting all other options repeatedly. Okay? So, I mean, hopefully that clears it up for you. He might be telling the truth, he might be not. But he did not go, according to his tweet, straight to the press. This was like a last resort. But yeah, thank you all. Let's bring things to an end there. I know you're all still going mad in the comments. Sadly, I don't have time to get through all of them, but I appreciate you all engaging, sending your comments in and listening to the stream. I will keep you updated. We'll see if anything develops over the weekend. I'll be here. I'll be making videos for you guys. So make sure you're subscribed to Reasoned if you're not already, because else you're going to miss out on all of the updates. We will be giving you everything with the latest reform drama. Speaking of reform, I will be on the Anderson show tonight, 7 to 8 p.m. on GB News if anyone wants to tune in. But anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching. See you all next time with our next update.